Hello and welcome back to Dukascopy TV. I'm Natalie MacDonald. Now this week marks Ben Bernanke's last speech as head of the US Federal Reserve. What's going on in the technical markets? Jean-François Owczarczak of MJT joins us in the studio now. Jean-François, thank you very much for coming in.
Hi Natalie, thanks for having me back.
Now it's quite a poignant week almost this week in the markets. How are we seeing currency pairs responding?
Well, I'll focus on the chart as usual, and we have our mosaic here of the main drivers. You have euro dollar, you have cable, you have the Aussie dollar, gold, dollar Swiss, dollar yen, 3 months S&P future and 3 months treasury bonds future. And we'll focus on the euro first and just look at it in the perspective just visually here on the daily chart, so time perspective of several months ahead. And as we could see, we're slowly getting into a zone where the targets are fulfilled. We've been moving up for the last 6 months, and we may be getting towards a point where we could at least see an intermediate top. And we could actually see that also to the downside on dollar Swiss, which has been heading down for the last 6 months and slowly getting into a zone where you could see an intermediate bottom. The oscillator is in overbought territory. The envelopes are touching each other. It's actually a second stress on the envelope, so that usually brings in a turning point. And so we are slowly getting into a zone where there's probably not that much potential left to the upside on the euro over the next few months. Let's have a look at the investment view. The investment view is basically a combination of a weekly, a daily and an hourly chart. You can see them in a perspective here. The 3 charts are still in a bull trend. If you look at the weekly, there's still quite a bit of potential up, since my signaling more an intermediate top than a final top here. We could see the daily slowly getting into this zone which is overbought and under stress, and not very far away from its targets. It had a first sell-off. We've seen a retest at the moment, quite a lot of stress. So probably a lot of resistance to the upside. And now if we look at the short term, the hourlies, well, they're fairly overbought. You have stress on the envelopes. The targets have been fulfilled, and you're in the overbought territory. Now if we switch back to the mosaic, we're quickly going to have a look at the S&P. Last week I was prudently bullish because we think there's still long-term potential into next year. Now the correction has been a bit stronger than expected, so let's quickly focus on it. And what we see here is that indeed the weekly is still up, the daily is still up, but the potential has pretty much been done at the moment. And so although the timing doesn't seem quite over yet, it is a distribution zone. It is getting towards a dangerous territory. Now, as long as I don't see anything negative on the daily, and especially following such a long bull market, I won't get overly concerned about it. So I really need to see a corrective target coming into the dailies, and if worse comes to worse, the corrective targets being broken to the downside to create an impulsive targets on the dailies to really redraw my scenario. And so at the moment, I would keep being prudently bullish. I'd be a bit careful over the next coming week, because it does seem like we have the impulsive targets to the downside and there's quite a lot of potential. That said, the oscillator is already in the green, it's oversold, the envelopes are almost touching each other, and if you compare that to the picture in Europe, the targets to the downside are almost fulfilled. So I do still believe that we can have another run at it. And over the next few days, just watch out, I would say, but I don't think the move is quite over the medium term. Now, if we look at the mosaic again, we're focused back on Aussie dollar, gold, and treasury bonds. They've been quite in sync this year, basically. Rates coming up, mostly real interest rates, not inflation. That is having a toll on gold because it's expensive to hold gold in such an environment, and that incidentally is having an impact on Aussie dollar. It seems like we're slowly getting to zones which are oversold, but at the moment I really can't confirm the turning point yet. If you look at the oscillators, They're jumping on and off the green zone, but haven't really gone into it to signify an oversold situation. Slowly getting there on gold, but it's hard to confirm it yet. Similarly on treasury bonds. Maybe let's focus on gold and look at the hourlies.
This week really is the trigger week in terms of, yes, we've got this FOMC meeting, which undoubtedly is going to bring calls of tapering into play, and then will also act as a precursor to that US debt ceiling that we've got coming out. So is that really playing out in what we're seeing in gold at the moment?
Well, basically, gold is going to keep being under pressure as long as interest rates are rising. And or as long as interest rates are rising with tamed inflation. And so at the moment, the trend is still negative, and I just can't justify a turning point for now. You just if you look at the weekly, yes, it's oversold, but there's still quite a lot of danger and targets to the downside. We've pretty much fulfilled the targets on the daily, but we're still in a bear trend. And if you look at the hourlies, well, although we're pretty much within the targets, you could see the oscillators have bounced and the prices haven't done anything. That's not a sign of strength. So there's probably one more go at it to the downside at least. And even if we do make an intermediate bottom over the next few weeks, it does seem like only an intermediate bottom because the weekly is still quite a negative. I mean, what I really appreciate in our fin graphs is that it basically helps you not to have too much wishful thinking. If you see 3 bears on the screen, you might be wanting to bottom fish gold here, but at the end of the day, you really need to see the hourly starting to turn up and to show some strength to really start taking a position.
Jean-François, thank you very much.
Thank you.
The Dukascopy TV team will be keeping you updated on all of the items discussed today, so do stay tuned. Goodbye for now.